Okay, so let's go further with what we as a Dell EMC can offer you as a customer in case of the networking portfolio, because in fact it's quite huge. We can offer solution for local area network, for a data center, for a branch and main office environment, and so on. Just look into the slides starting from Z and S series. This is the equipment for a data center. This is the equipment where we have almost all switches with ON letters at the end of these queues. ON means open networking. So we can buy these switches and install the solution like BigSwitch network, for example. We also have some switches for a chassis-based environment. When you have a huge server, one of the modules you can install inside is the chassis-like switch, modular switch. Then, as I mentioned, the virtual edge platform for a software-defined wide area network access environment. Then we have a full set of a campus switches like probably you know Cisco Catalyst 3000, 2000, and so on. We also have N series like N series 100 to 1000, 2000, up to 4000, which supports PoE, PoE Plus, and so on, which could be interesting. We also have a wireless networking in that way that we are OEMing Aerohive. We are offering Aerohive solutions as a Dell EMC, and these Aerohive solutions are integrated with our campus and networking. In that way that Aerohive has a cloud management called Hive Manager. This is the really cloud environment when you install the management platform somewhere in the cloud, but it can also be installed in your location on premise if you have any security concerns. And that platform are managing wired APs, control, and so on, and also managing N-series Dell switches. So you have the single pane of glass. We also, starting probably next month, start to offer the Ruckus portfolio of the wired solution. Ruckus is very well known, especially in ISP environment, or is, for example, first in hospitality area in the world. Ruckus is interesting from one reason. Ruckus is the only Wi-Fi company which is building its equipment in a very special way. I mean on the physical layer. On the physical layer, the antenna are specially built, and this antenna gives you the possibility that you are changing the signal from the AP to the customer, depending what the customer device is, how it behaves, where is that, and where is the environment around. It's called beamforming, and this is the Ruckus a couple of months ago, or 1-2 years ago, was the only vendor who was doing that. That beamforming allows you to have more dense Wi-Fi environment. Shortly, if you have bad experience with Wi-Fi, like for example, my Wi-Fi is slow or behaving very bad, it can happen that if you change the Wi-Fi vendor to Ruckus, your problem will go away because it's just a better environment from the physical perspective. Then, of course, together with our ZS series, you have the portfolio of this open networking system. And regarding security, we can offer you also Sonic Wall product in terms of firewalls, for example, things like that, or VPN concentrators. And also from Aerohive. Aerohive will have a new network access control system, which is called A3. It will see the sunlight, I think, in next month or next 2 months or something, and we will try to integrate that with our N series and offer for you the complete security portfolio like the switches, the access point, and network access control. That's in overall. Let's now look into what we can offer from the I think I should have another slide, sorry for that. Okay, never mind. For Z and S series, we have a full line of leaf and spine product, 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig. The new line is 25 gig, which is running on the same fibers like 10 gig. Of course, the 100 gig ports can be split into 4 times 45, for example. Or 40 gig ports can be split into 4 times 10, right? I will show you some product in that area, not the all one, because there are really a huge choice. Sorry for that. Okay, so for S series, you see the full line of products starting of S3000 when you have 1 gig connectivity. And it's, for example, used for a management network in a data center. Then we have S4100 and S4200, which are for 10 gig and 40 gig environment, also for 100 gig uplinks. And 5000 is a family when we start to give you the 25 gigabit to the access and 100 gigabit uplinks. Just then for a Z series, this is rather for a spine because they are product which has mostly 40 gigabit or 100 gigabit interface. Right now we have a product which has a 32 times 100 gig in one rack unit, right? Then you will see the product which will have 64 times 100 gig in one rack unit, which is quite a lot, right? All are built on merchant silicon platforms, and we are doing our best to prepare that for a customer. And you can install here our own operating system like OS X, or you can install the open system like BigSwitch or other. For existing product, maybe you are just looking for something which has more than 60 times 40 gig. This is a 2-rack unit switch, so small modular solution. When you have 4 slots, and in each slot you can install 16 40 gigabit port or 8 100 gig port. This is full speed, non-blocking for an aggregation layer, right? The example. On the other hand, this year you will see new Z series switches, as I mentioned. First, the 2-rack unit switch with 64 100 gig ports, and then also 64 100 gig ports, but in 1 rack unit. How we fit that all the ports into 1 rack unit? This is because here we are going into the world slowly ready for 400 gigabit per second solution, because these ports are in fact 200 gigabit. So this is not standard QSFP28, this is QSFP28 double density. So each physical port is 200 gig and can be broken out into 2 ports of 100 gig. That's all for having more and more bandwidth. For a leaf, you have a full family of S4100 switches with 10 gigabit uplinks and 40 and 100 gigabit, 10 gigabit access port and 40 and 100 gigabit uplinks, right? So also there is one nice solution here. There is also many things happen on the storage side, right? A couple of years ago, if you have a data center, the only storage solution which was seen as a really powerful and so on was the fiber channel, right? So the server has the connection to the Ethernet switch and also has a separated connection for fiber channel to the storage fabric. And that slowly changed. Question, do you have any experience with fiber channel over Ethernet protocol, FCOE? Good or bad? So-so. Okay. Yeah, it's a valid question because I remember a couple of years ago, Cisco started with FCOE just because they didn't have enough powerful FC switches. And the feedback from customer was really, it depends, right? It was not very successful. And I also do not see a lot of FCOE solutions. But on the other hand, what we can do is we can use the same switch as an Ethernet switch and as a pure fiber channel switch. Why? Because we, for example, introducing product like S4148U, U means universal. It's the standard switch. If you look at this, it has 48 ports of 10 gig, and also has 6 uplinks. 4 of them are 100 and 2 of them are 40. But if you look into these ports, 24 ports, which works as a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, can also work as a fiber channel port. So you can put there the fiber channel optic, 8 gig or 16 gig, and that switch is working as a fiber channel switch with zoning, with fiber channel switching, and so on. So you can put 2 such switches for a redundancy, and using 2 switches, you are doing, let's say, almost the same like with using 2 dedicated Ethernet and 2 dedicated fiber channel. So the solution is not 100% the same, right? If you are, let's say, fiber channel enthusiastic, fan, you can say the fiber channel has dedicated fabric path, the dedicated path, right? That's true, that's true. But we are starting to go into other type of solution, right? We are starting to integrate internet and fiber channel using FCOE just to lower the cost of the solution. And that's one of the possible ways to go. And if we start to talk about storage, but not only, here is something which could be quite interesting. That switch is half of the rack, not the full rack wide, but half of the rack. So in one rack unit, you can fit 2 switches, right? And for example, use them as a access to a couple of servers or maybe iSCSI storage or other things. The nice thing about that, the beauty about that is it has 12 10 gig ports and 3 100 gig uplinks. So the one 100 gig uplink can be used for connect switches together, and 2 uplinks are going up to the core, to the 2 redundant core switches. You have very elegant, very safe, very nice, and really cost-effective scenario for high-speed connections in your rack when you need not so many 10 gig ports, but you need redundancy and 100 gig or 40 gig uplinks, right? That's a very nice
Emil,
solution.
wait there, and if you mentioned cost reduction, then we're just going to be honest, and I will tell you that this switch with 3 years pro support and OS 10 Enterprise costs for you about 6,000 or maybe less. So that's the newest technology with something that you can count on the price.
Thank you. That's a good point. In general, I believe our solutions could be really cost-effective compared to some other solutions. Okay, I also want to show you some, well, real cases. We really don't have such a slides. I found some. I will not be able to share it with you, but the beauty about that is there are really working scenarios at some customers in Poland and around Europe. So in general, of course, we have many huge customers, like for example, Etisalat. I don't remember Tomasz mentioned about that.
I refer to them as one of the telcos.
Yeah, okay. A huge big cloud fabric or a big monitoring fabric solution, right? With Dell switches. Also some others, Tomasz mentioned Microsoft Azure. But I will show you some real cases which works. Maybe they are not very new, but they really works at the customer sites like University of Warsaw, when you have Z9500 switches as a core, connected to the couple of N series. Well, this time probably we will sell S series, not N series, because it's much more effective, and it works together for a University of Warsaw, creating a core and distribution. Here we have the SL in Poland, where we have the couple of S-series switches working also as a core. And then we have the servers with modular switches connected to the core. Of course, all the connections are redundant. I would also mention some other things which is very important. As you remember from my previous presentation, we have our switches. We can install that, the BigSwitch or BitCloud Fabric, which is a very nice solution. Just don't forget, we can use classic solution also. I mean, if this is really small deployment, maybe sometimes the classic solution is much more cost effective, maybe, it depends. So you can just put our switches with Dell EMC operating system 9 or operating system 10. It works with a full stack of layer 2, layer 3, and also it have a nice redundancy protocol, like for example VLT. VLT is something like Cisco VPC, probably you know that, or Nortel SMLT. So it allows two switches to look to the outside world as a one logical switch, right? So it means every device, if this is a server or the access switch or something, or stack of switches, can be connected with two different physical links to the two different switches, and that device thinks that is connected to the single switch, right? You can do LACP, LAC with LACP, or static LAC connected to devices. And we are using that VLT technology in many cases, like here, for example, this is one VLT domain, this is another VLT domain. They are somehow connected over layer 2 or layer 3. They also can be interconnected using the technology like VXLAN for DCI interconnect. And they are used as a distributed core to connect all the access devices. One more thing, in a classical approach, probably some of you know, if you want this core to work as a layer 3 termination, as a layer 3 gateway, so maybe probably in a classical solution you are configuring here VRP protocol or something like that, or HSRP, right, in a Cisco world. We can do that, of course, but we have much more interesting solution in that way that we are integrating that VLT domain with a layer 3 functionality. We are calling that root proxy gateway, and that means that two VLT domains can be the same single layer 3 gateway for resources underneath, working for the same logical IP address. Just mention in general. This is quite interesting solution. Okay, another case in the United Kingdom where you also has S6000 switches here and here as a core, working with connected some 7 S4810 switches in the access and connecting access servers and so on. Okay, and similar case, University of Dundee. Nice name. Okay, any questions to our quick look to the portfolio and so on?
I will simply add a note here that we will send you the slides, and we will also present to you a couple of switches that we think are interesting with the information, the details, the link to their product page, and also the price point. And we have, with Dell, we have a very good selection of demo pool devices, so that in case you feel interested about something, just let us know, and then we can help you take a closer look.
Okay, we can go further, and the last point for today, or 2 points, let's say, is something about the OpenManage Network Manager, OMNM, difficult to say that in a short way. One note. We were talking today about the open networking, about the systems which works with an open networking approach as a BigSwitch. BigSwitch is a very innovative solution. That means it has many built-in management features, right? It can be managed with the new approaches like a REST API, so you can build your own application managing your network, just using a REST API to the BigSwitch fabric. In our switches also, you have the built-in possibilities like you can work with Ansible scripts, you can work with Bash scripts, you can work with netconf. So you have many, many ways to configure switches in that ways. But in general, we understand that the open networking approach is quite new. You have your existing environment where probably you have many, many different vendors working in the same network. And this is really a challenge to manage day by day such an infrastructure, right? You can have Cisco switches plus some other routers, maybe Juniper. You have maybe some cheap, I don't know, other access point or switches working somewhere there and other things. And what we can do here, we can propose a solution called OpenManage Network Manager, which of course works for all the different networking devices, but not only, because it can also talk to servers, to wireless and firewalls, to physical and virtual networking. So this is the tool which can manage many devices from different vendors. It of course manages all the portfolio from the Dell networking like CNS, XZ. It can manage Everhive, it can manage Unity storage arrays and other things. But what is most important, that software has pre-installed, pre-built packages for many networking equipment you probably recognize on that slide. And I will show you that if you log into the OpenManage console, you just can check which equipment with which software version can work with your OpenManage instance. It's a very scalable tool. It's really reconfigurable, so you can set up how it works, how it looks, which programs, which applications are inside. I will try to show you that on a quick demo. I have to say, I'm sorry, this is not the demo which is really for OpenManage. It's just, I just asked some guys at my lab in Lodz, where we have some devices, to give me some resources to install OpenManage, and I also have some switches, so I can show you how it looks like, but I can't change too many things there, right? Okay, so sorry for that, but I think it will give you a feeling how it looks. Why this is so flexible and so customizable? Well, it's doing everything what you expect for a classical network management solution. You expect you will be able to discover your resources, right? By IP, using some credentials, or maybe by SNMP. You expect it will be multi-vendor. You expect to see some traffic flow analysis. And in fact, if your devices are sending, for example, SFlow or NetFlow, that OpenManage is able to read that package and show you the reports. Top talkers, who is talking to who, how many bandwidth they are, needs, and so on, right? Of course, it has all the alarm and events. It's a scheduled maintenance, so you can say that every night I need a backup for my configuration. Every night I need to check the configuration on the switches, and for example, check, do I have a telnet turned off because it's not secure? Do I have a SSH turned on because this is secure? If not, you have an alarm, right? So you can pre-configure many things and then expect that the tool will give you some information in the moment that somebody did something not according to the compliance, right? What is also nice, we have new version of OpenManage called 6.5, and these are some very nice things here. In general, it was improved. For example, we can also manage archive access point with this tool. We will be able to manage Ruckus and some other devices. Also very nice thing. If you have the Dell switches in your network or other vendor switches in your network, you expect that, well, somebody will remember, do you still have the support contract for the switches? Or maybe that date is coming when you don't have a support contract. So you can configure the tool in that way that OpenManage is asking Dell server, if you have Dell switches, or is asking somebody else server, giving him the serial number of your device, what is the status or warranty of a support contract? If it's going to the end, you have an alarm and you see, okay, I have to do something with that, right? So it's in generally make the life of the administrator much, much easier, okay? So we can deploy and manage anytime of the network, right? We can streamline network operations, so they are taken automatically. There is less manual steps. You can create any script in your OpenManage which is doing something. You can create a script. For example, if you receive a trap which contains, I don't know, spanning tree or something, then you can create the action or event that you want the system to do something. Send you an email, configure the switch, shut down the ports, or something. The set of things you can do here is, that's 1,000 of different things you can do. Just your imagination, okay? If you want to try it, this is actually very, very easy. You can install fully functional for 1 month, for 30 days, fully functional trial version, which works for 25 devices. If you have a stack, the stack is one device, because this is one logical IP, right? This is one IP for management. What is also important, you don't need to worry about installation process, because if you just have a virtual machine, like on a VMware environment, you can download the virtual appliance file, OVF, just put that file into VMware, and after 3 minutes, you have fully functional OpenManage install, and you can just start to do something, right? So this is really easy. Of course, this is also very easy to purchase. Even inside OpenManage, you can click the link and you can purchase this. So well done. Okay. Any questions so far?
Is it high available? Can you set?
Yes, you can install two devices and make them working in redundant. I also should say something about how it's built. Well, it's built in a good way. I mean, this is the application level, right, which is talking to the database. And that database is logically separated from the application level. And also this is web server, which you are talking to, right? And this web server is also separated from the application engine. So it's built in a good way. Also, I didn't mention, this is from 25 devices up to thousands of thousands. They claim here that it even works for like 40,000 devices or things like that, because you can install more than one number of nodes and they are working together. So it's very scalable, very scalable. And now let me show you. I hope the lab is working. Yes?
This for the configuration compliance only on Dell firmware or on all the other?
Yes, yes. You can you can set up the compliance rules which are checked. Like I mentioned, in the configuration, you need to have something like that, like telnet disabled or other things, or contact written for somebody. If there is no these rules inside the devices you are checking, you receive the alarm, email, SMS. If you have application to send SMS, of course, you can do everything. It's a compliance checking for sure. Maybe you will know more in the moment I will try to connect there. And this is really live demo. So I installed that last week, tried to configure that. I didn't have too much time, but it works. And it's in the lab environment. There are real switches doing something with our demo for VxRail and other things. But I was told I can't change then anything. So okay. That's the first string and first important thing.
Excuse me, Emil, just one thing, very
Okay.
short thing. I have good news and bad news for you regarding the network manager. It's in the same. The latest 6.5 manual is freely available on the web on Dell.com, but it's 1,000 pages long. So whatever you want to ask or find, it's...
There is also mini manual, which is like 100 pages or something, and I can send you that.
Yeah, but
It's quite convenient for a first time.
The 6.2 was 600 something, now they're upgraded to 1,000 pages, so and it's really deep, I can tell you.
It's a very good point.
It covers everything that you
I
would
will
like
tell
to
you
know.
why. I didn't have a time to read a manual at all, really. Too much emails. And what you see here, I did by myself, working with this like, I don't know, 4 hours or something last week. Probably I could show you more, but really many things are here very easy, and you see a lot of information here by default. Why the manual is so long? But it's because this is absolutely fully customizable. For example, you see that, how we can call it, menu, right? You can completely rebuild that menu. That's just an example. You can, in 5 minutes, create additional 6 tabs with your application. I will try to show you how, and that looks completely different. It depends on you how it looks. By default, you have something like home, performance, traffic flow, topology, resources, configuration management, compliance, automation, action, report, and setting. You can delete a half of that and create something what you need. On the other hand, of course, you have full role-based access management. So you can have different administrators working with parts of your equipment or parts of your network, and you are giving them rights. So, okay, you will see only these devices and configure these devices. The another guy will see only access points, and the another one will see only the data center switches and do something with that. Not a problem. It's fully customizable. So, as you see, example of a, let's say, window, they called it portlets. This single tool, this single window, is a portlet. On every page here, you have a couple of portlets, but you can insert the portlet anywhere, even if even on your new console. This is the web console. You can install a new. You can create a new one with only 3 tabs, and on each of 3 tabs, you have your own 3 portlets because it's enough, right? The examples of what we can see here. Here are, no, this, not this. We start with this one. Here are quick setup tasks for configure things like Dell EMC support or traffic flow analyzer, and many things are done automatically. Example, I wanted to configure S-Flow on my switches. I just click here, insert, choose which switches I would like the S-Flow to be configured. Click enter, and S-Flow was configured on that switch with the IP of OMNM as a traffic receiver. So this is quite easy, but When we start, if we have a classical tool like that, we start probably with discover. And also a lot of good things done here. I think the resolution should be somehow better, right? So no way. Okay, so for discovering, you have ready discover templates, but you can create your own. For example, I created my own very quickly because I just want to discover addresses from 10 something 67 to 90. So I put, this is my discovery. I can manage many things. I can say am I doing ICMP ping or not? Am I trying SNMP or not? Am I trying Telnet or SSH or both? Putting the username and password here for that method, click execute, and then tool is sending SNMP or SSH request to my devices, trying to discover the devices, to connect to the devices. I can classify for which addresses that discovery should work. I can classify which authentication method should work for the discovery. Is that Telnet? Is this SSH? This is SNMP version 2, version 3, or so on. Everything is customizable. I can try to inspect only my discovery, which means the system will try to do that and will tell me if it's successful or not, if the password correct or not, can it see the device or not. So many things here. Actions during the discovery, I can say, for example, enable SNMP traps. So on the switch, there will be the command which is enable SNMP traps, and the traps will be going to that tool. And of course, on the beginning, you can choose. Are you talking to Cisco switches? Are you talking to Dell switches? Are you talking to Juniper switches? Are you talking to Aruba switches? This is a lot of things here. I will try, I don't remember, show versions. Okay, manage show versions. You see here, yeah, driver information. See here. Here are a list of devices which are known for OMNM. So OMNM knows exactly for a given version. Let's see, Cisco CatOS device driver. See, for a CatOS 2924XL, we can talk to the CatOS version 7.1.7.2.7.3.7.4.7.5.7.6, and so on. That means we know the MIP tree for these versions and this model, and we do all the things, almost all the things automatically, right? We want interfaces which are the most occupied. We just sending proper SNMP and get a response. We will want CPU temperature. We're sending SNMP, we get a response. Nothing from your side. And you set the list. Arista, Alcatel, Brocade, Cisco, Dell, and many others. Yeah, I was also told by the guys who are doing OMNM that if you buy the OMNM platform license and you have the other devices which are not here and you want to integrate them with your database, you can send a request and they told me they are doing a new device like in 2-3 weeks. Probably it depends of the number of licenses you bought, right? But I think it's possible. So it really talks to many vendors. Okay, now have a quick look. So we were at home, see into performance. I clicked performance and I see things like top interface errors, which devices? Top memory utilization, which devices? Top ping response, where I have the biggest latency, top bandwidth received, right? Of course, it's also customizable. You don't need many of them. You can just see here, 2, 3, 4, what you need. If you click here, you see the small dashboard, right? Okay, then traffic flow. Traffic flow, you see the traffic flow when you configure the S-flow. Of course, this is the lab environment, right? So probably you don't see many things here. Just try to change the time period for, let's say, 30 days. And I have HTTP, another HTTP, WSO2 tungsten HTTPS, probably a subversion of HTTP. Oh, it really works, right? Top 5 endpoints. So who is sending traffic? So I see all these things. In a real production network, I see here probably many, many other things. Who is using the bandwidth in a network? Is this an Exchange server, web server, or something maybe you don't know about? Maybe somebody is sending too many things to a really suspicious IP address. And you can very, very easily recognize that something wrong is going there, right? So it's really nice. Topology. The OpenManage is grabbing all CDP, LLDP packets, other packets, and using that, it's displaying topology. There is something wrong here. Probably I deleted the topology graph. Sorry for that. That's someone. You should see here the. You should see here the topology graph. I probably deleted it, but it works in general. Okay. Resources. It's a very powerful place because here you have the list of your connected devices. I discovered these devices. I just put the password for SSH and nothing more because SNMP was not configured. He's trying private and public strings for SNMP, right? And I have the list with my devices. If I click with right mouse click for a given switch, I can see the details of the device, where I have a lot of things to see. For example, well, of course, performance indicators, CPU, memory, temperature, equipment name here, IP address, version of software, alarms, monitor status. I can configure any monitor I want for a given device and put that monitor to your dashboard. For example, I want to see the traffic for that given link because this is important, something is going wrong here. So I'm putting the monitor for that given interface and putting that to my dashboard. What I want to see for the first time when I am starting the application, right? I see the reference tree, VLAN, slot, purchase, in general, everything, right? Network, when I click the network for a given node, I see the interfaces and other things. Alarms, I see alarms for my device here. I see the history, what was going on with the device, and the performance, for example, right, for my given device. And it's also or customizable. Configuration management. For example, maybe I'll try this one because I changed something on this feature. Change management, where it was, file management, compare current versus previous. I just put for a given switch, very quickly, compare the configuration you see at the moment on the switch to the previous version of the configuration you backup because you are backup the configuration every night, right? So what I see here, if something is colored, means it was changed. So here it was VLAN 1000, which is not here. And here is the comment added, which is not here. So very quickly you know what has happened with configuration of your switch if it was changed and something is going wrong, right? And you can revert the configuration. So very quickly you can tell to the switch, put that configuration from yesterday to your memory and reload. And this is just by click, right? Okay. That was the question about compliance. I didn't try that, telling the truth, but there is a lot predefined compliance policy, which is checking if your device configuration is according to that policy. If not, that gives you an alarm or can configure that automatically. So you can, for example, check here compliance Cisco timestamp logging, like Cisco set logging to console port or other devices. This is a lot of Cisco. I would like to see something else. Dell, recommended SSH, recommended support assist, recommended radius. So it's checking a lot of the things on the device. If it's not configured properly, it's giving you an alarm. And of course, automation actions. Here you can create all the things which you want to be automatically done for many switches at the same time. In fact, you can just create a script with any command inside and tell the system to configure that this night, or maybe do that in the moment when some things happen in the network. So for example, you will receive an event about SNMP, you can shut down the port the event comes from. So you can do many things. You also have predefined reports. And also there is many of the ports. I will try to search something. For example, inventory, for example. Do I have any inventory? Inventory report. I am clicking execute report. It's executed in the background. You see on the top right corner. It should say report data is being collected. And if it's collected, I can click left down corner. Report is now ready for viewing. Click done. And I see my report when I, for example, have a list of switches, list of serial numbers, other things. And it also completely can be defined in your way. So you have like hundreds of predefined reports for different devices, but you still can define your own. Okay, I think, and I mentioned to you, this is completely configurable. Like for example, here, you have the list. That menu you saw on the top row is here. I can create my own menu and put any of all of these applications you saw to my menu, and can be different for different users. I think it's enough for first time. Do you have any question to that? Yes?
Do you offer any client authentication as well as other ones?
Client authentication?
Yes.
But what do you mean?
It means you need client accounts and you need client authentication.
Of course. You mean different people are logging into that tool? Of course, I mentioned. It's role-based access control. If I go to the control panel, I have here user group, roles, password policies. You can create different user which has completely different rights and views and their own pages. It's fully configurable, and it's probably 100 pages in the manual. So it's very scalable. Any other questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
For using with different vendors, do I have to install some driver software to use this one, or it's out of box? I just install this one and I can use it. And all different vendors.
As I show you, what this device is doing is talking SNMP, is connecting via SSH or Telnet. As you see here, it has predefined, it knows these MIB files for many devices in the many versions, right? It even tells you that for that given model, you are fully compliant with the version 11, 12, 13, 14. Does it mean it doesn't work with version 15? No. It could mean that maybe you will see in the wrong way the one of 10,000 SNMP values, and maybe you will never recognize that. But you know for which devices you are ready just like that. because it can read all the information from the devices because it knows the structure of that device database. And you have the full list of these devices. It's ready by default. I didn't do anything here. It's just there, inside. Mm-hmm.
So basically, OMNM knows Chinese. So whatever language these devices speak, it already has this library inside.
Valletta, Sonus, Ruckus, Netgear, Juniper, HP, F5, Extreme Networks, Enterasis, EdgeCore, EMC, SonicWall, EMC, Cumulus, Cisco Pix, ASA, Cisco Nexus, MDS, Cisco LAN switches, iOS, CatOS, Brocade RX, oh my God, it was 10 years ago. Brocade, I was working for Brocade. Brocade device driver, Aruba, Arista, Alcatel, Aerohive, Freecom. And don't forget, many device has the predefined MIPS according to RFC, like interface MIPS. So many things you can read from any device because this is RFC compatible.
You said the open management will be compatible with Ruckus wireless access points.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean I don't have to use Ruckus controller anymore?
No. The control plane is something completely different than management plane. No, I think no. You need controller to manage the frequency of the signal are going from each access point, security reason, MAC addresses, and so on, right? This is for management. That means, well, I don't exactly know what you can get from Ruckus controller, but that means that the device knows the Ruckus controller and knows what Ruckus controllers stores internally in its own databases and how to take this data using SNMP and SSH. And it can take this data, show you this data on a graph, alarm you if something goes above the threshold, like send me an email if the threshold of that VLAN or interface will go for more than 70%. Big alarm, right? That means that. It also means, well, it can talk to any SNMP device, right? But what is beauty? It has this whole list of thousands of devices, pre-compiled, knows this SNMP database, and know how to talk to them without your manual intervention at all. So it's almost just like that. As I said, what you see here, I spent like 3 hours on that, and you can see a lot, right?
We tried to download this virtual appliance a couple of days ago, unsuccessful.
Sorry, what you tried?
To download this virtual appliance.
Virtual appliance? But did you have the proper requirements for your virtual machine? I mean, number of vCPU, number of memory, the amount of memory, and the amount of. Because I am not good in vCenter VMware. Just somebody give me the login to the vCenter. I know how it doing somehow. So I created a virtual machine and create a virtual machine from OVF file. Enter 2 minutes, and I have the console. Maybe I was lucky, but it was very easy for me.
4 days to download.
Jesus. But you have the error message or something? You try to use 6.5 version?
Yeah.
If you have an error or something, just let me know. I can try to go with that information to OMNM guys, and they maybe can help us to resolve the issue.
Are you talking about download speed, or are you talking about installation erroring out? Download. Just about download speed.
I didn't understand. I didn't got you. It was this week or last week?
Last week.
Okay. Please maybe send email to Viljar. He will contact me, and I will try to share with you somehow the installation file and try to contact the guys, ask what happened and why. Because I had no problem with that.
But try again this week also, maybe it works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions about OMNM?
I'd like to see the topology.
Okay, let's try.
Does it look like Nmap or like SolarWind? And
Let's try this one. I'm not. Let's try this one. Add child page, name topology. No, not this one. Add. Okay, add. Sorry. Here we have topology. Add application. Topology. System topology. Topology views. Add. Okay. And now click once again. Topology. Sorry. Maybe this is a problem with Java because I need Java to be enabled to see that, but I did it.
does it use a flash?
Yes, you are right. It uses Flash. Yes. For this one, only for this one. Only for topology. It's the only place it uses Flash.
Maybe that's the one thing you can write to these guys to change.
But it's funny because I checked this 2 hours ago and it was here. I'm not sure what I changed and why. I did something wrong, probably.
But we can manage this separately, organize a view.
Yeah, but
in
I
a separate
will
system.
fix it and send you the real picture of that.
Any other questions?
Two questions. One question is there also some kind of IP management also that I see which kind of IP address are you using and which kind of MAC address like some IPs and so on.
You have a
Port is some IPs
Question.
port or something like
question. What do you mean by management? If you are looking which IP are free or so, well,
okay, free also then like which kind of IP I am
so
not looking in network
you
for
have-
3 months, 4 months.
so you have IP reports where you have all your subnets and where these subnets are. You can ping the NIP and check if this IP alive, or where this IP is on which switch, which router, or MAC. You can put the MAC and where this MAC is seen, but no IP management in terms how to divide my subnets. No.
And second question, okay, let's tell that I'm using Rufus and I still need Rufus management to manage actually Rufus network. This is more like monitoring tool. Because
Yes.
I cannot create VLANs, I cannot create
You can create VLAN. Why not? You can do any
some management, but not all management.
Sorry.
I can manage all my Rufus access points, let's say, like from Rufus management. All right.
For sure, it will not do radio frequency management and these things because they are Wi-Fi specific.
But in which case can I, like, let's say, on extreme switches manage where IP or...
You can do that. On any, well, simply talking, you can create a script with variables which are creating a VRRP domain on an extreme switch.
I have to put like, create my own scripts for that.
Yes. But also there's a tons of predefined scripts. Create VLAN on Cisco, create VLAN on Extreme, create VLAN on them. And you have like hundreds of these ready pre-actions you can use. If something is not there, create your own, but then you can put this to 100 switches and one click, right?
What about servers? Can I configure servers as well, or I just can get the statistics?
It depends what servers allows you. If servers allows you to do something via SNMP, it is for sure possible. If servers allows you to do something via SSH, but just telnetting to the server and put some commands and exit, you can do that because you can always create a script which will do that, right? It also integrates somehow with OpenManage Essentials. Yes, but here I do not know the details. But these two systems can integrate. I think the best thing is to try, right? Because I can talk and talk and... Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, so to sum it up, I think that's a very good first preview. This is actually the first time we have ever talked about Network Manager and open networking and all these kinds of stuff. So there is a public available demo for 25 devices for 30 days. But I think if you got some kind of interest, the best next step would be to try to evaluate what you would like to do with this solution, and then come to us, and we will help to understand if that is easily done, or what are the possible points where we might need to find some other solution.